Okay, hello and welcome to today's session in the msdynamicsworld.com Spring 2014 BIN Reporting webcast series. I'm Jason Gumpert, and joining us for today's event is a returning speaker, Noah Mosley of MSX Group. Noah is a veteran. Hey, Noah. For those of you who don't know Noah, he's a veteran of Microsoft Dynamics, focused on Forecaster, Management Reporter, and FRX. Today's session is focused on Microsoft Forecaster for budgeting, and we're really glad to have Noah back. So as we get started, I just want to add that we invite you to ask your questions and add your feedback today. You'll see the chat and Q&A blocks to the right side of the window, and we invite you to add your thoughts and questions there. We'll save as much time as we can for Noah to answer your questions. So without further delay, please allow me to welcome Noah Mosley. Noah.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Are you going to, yep, you've already started the recording there. I'll switch over to my slides here in WebEx for us.
Yep,
should have that first slide up there for us, and we are have about an hour on Forecaster for Microsoft Dynamics ERP. And we're really focusing on the people who have been budgeting in Excel, and you probably just outgrown that situation, and Forecaster may be your next budgeting solution to take the place of Excel. A little bit about me and my company. I'm with the MSX Group. We're a consulting practice, and we handle consulting services, training classes, and software support for Forecaster, as well as FRX and Management Reporter. And we handle that for all the Dynamics family out there, AX, GP, NAV, and SL. To make sure everybody's on the same page with us about exactly what Forecaster does for us, Forecaster is a Microsoft application, and this is used by all four of the ERP solutions, AX, GP, NAV, and SL. And Forecaster lets you handle your budgeting process, forecasting, and planning all in one application. Everything that you store for the budgets, forecasts, or plans are stored in a single SQL database for Forecaster. And although your budget managers will have the look and feel of spreadsheet type input, just rows and columns, so they're all used to in Excel, it is a separate application and ran all in itself. For those of you who are currently using Excel for your budgeting needs, you know, there's a lot of challenges that Excel just doesn't really handle very well after you get to a certain size budget requirements. If you're a budget manager and you're doing this in Excel, you're making templates in Excel files, and then you probably take that file and do File Save As and make as many different versions of that Excel file as you need, and then email those out to all your different budget managers. You send that out, you wait for that to come back to you. You don't know really if they're working on it. You don't know how much progress they've done, and you don't have any idea about any balances they're putting in those spreadsheets until they do send them back to you. And as soon as you get those back from all the budget managers, whenever they decide to send that back to you, then you've got the job of taking those Excel files and then consolidating all that data into a single budget in Excel. And still, even when you get all that data in a single consolidated Excel file, you still have a lot of trouble comparing that to actuals. So if you want to put your actuals into Excel in that same consolidated Excel file and type in your actuals and compare those side by side, it's a lot of work. So Forecaster is a solution that helps us work around these problems in Excel and give you a little better control over your budget process. When we get into Forecaster, you'll see its spreadsheet style user interface. Your budget managers will be comfortable with that, typing in balances and saving those back to the database. Security and workflow is all built into Forecaster, so every budget manager that you have will log into Forecaster with their user ID and password, which could be the same as their network user ID and password, so they don't have to remember an extra one. They'll log in. Forecaster controls what input screens they can get to. That also controls what departments they can budget for, what reports they can see, and the different areas inside Forecaster that they can access. There's also a workflow inside Forecaster, so as they are doing their budgets, even though everybody starts off as a workflow status of in progress, Once they are finished, they submit that for review in workflow. That locks it from input, sends an email to the next person saying, hey, this person's budget is ready for you to review it. And workflow lets you track everybody's status as in progress, submitted, and then the next manager will either approve or reject those budgets. And all that's built into Forecaster under workflow. So a great way to keep track of the status of everybody's budget as you're going through this process. As soon as your budget managers click the Save button on any of their input screens, it's instant consolidation for reporting. Everything is stored in Forecaster against the same chart of accounts that you're using for actuals. That's saved right away, and it's consolidated right away. You don't have to combine any Excel files together to get a consolidated total. It all rolls up, and as soon as I click Save, those reports and Forecaster are ready for you to review. Inside Forecaster, we also have detailed budgeting sections that are set up for your budget managers to handle capital, revenue, and HR. Capital lets us take care of budgeting for new assets for next year. Forecaster will calculate depreciation expense for those assets and book the cost for those assets as well. Revenue will let you divide or break down the revenue modeling section of your budget using additional dimensions that you might not already track inside your GL. And HR will let us budget for all of your employees' wages, taxes, and benefits for the upcoming year. Your budget managers, they'll be doing all this in Forecaster, and they can access Forecaster either through a desktop installation or they can just use a web interface, web access. So they can pull up Internet Explorer, log into Forecaster's web page, type in the budgets, all in the web browser, and save it. They're done. A little bit about the Forecaster components. When you install Forecaster, Forecaster's got three main pieces. You've got the desktop application, which if you're an administrator for Forecaster, you're going to use that to set up all your input screens, reports, and everything else to get ready for the budget cycle. Your budget managers, they can use their own desktop installation of Forecaster, or they could use that web access. And there's also an Excel add-in that if you do want to push and pull data in and out of Excel files, you've got that Excel add-in that links up to the Forecaster database really easy. Those bottom two bullet points, Forecaster stores everything in one SQL database. It is it's a Forecaster database by itself. It's not part of the GL database. And all of that is based on Windows authentication or SQL authentication. So every user will have a valid user ID in Forecaster, which could be their network ID or just one that's just set up inside SQL. So I'm going to switch over to the application now itself, Forecaster. And as I go through this stuff inside the application, everybody's muted now, but feel free to type in questions on that chat box or the question box on the right-hand side. Jason's helping me watch that as I go through this stuff. And Jason, if something comes up that you want to stop me and ask questions, let me know, okay?
Sure thing, Noah. We do have one quick question here. Is Forecaster multi-company capable?
Sure can. So you can have more than one company in that same Forecaster database. We would just have like a dimension specifying which company. So it's easy done. You can have 5, 10 companies all in one budget. All right, I'm going to switch over and share Forecaster for us. And Jason, let me know if that doesn't come up there right away. I've got
starting to come up.
Okay, I've got the Forecaster homepage there for us, just a blank work area. And it's going to take us to the input screen for Forecaster to get us started, where your budget managers will spend pretty much all their time doing the budget process.
Hey, Noah, I'm sorry. I'm still seeing kind of a blank window. Is that what you're seeing right now?
Yeah, it is. I've just got the menu up top. It's all white right now. I've got the data input menu drop down selected.
Yeah, I see that now.
Okay. So the budget managers will spend pretty much all their time under data and input. So let me take us there first. And I've already got budget set up for us. We're doing the budget 2014. And I've already been in here, so Forecaster remembers the department I was working on last. When that's shown at the very top of the screen here, it's Department 1110 for New York Manufacturing, and all the dollars on the screen will get posted against New York Manufacturing, that department. This is the main input screen for Forecaster. Spreadsheet type layout. Your budget manager should not have any problem at all navigating around in here. There are several tabs on the top of this window for input. We're on the multi-row tab, which is the main input area. This is the one that has all the accounts that this budget manager needs going down the left-hand side of the page here. We have other tabs, which I'm going to look at one by one. We've got single row, human resources, capital, and revenue. All those break down the detail for those different sections. All of it will be for the same department, New York Manufacturing, and we'll look at each of those in just a minute. For the multi-row page, which might be the only one your budget managers need to access, they may not have access to capital or revenue or HR. So if they do not have access to those tabs, they won't even see those tabs at the top. But multi-row is the main one. So if they do have this page, when you build this as a budget administrator, you can decide what all the columns should be. I've got 12 months, January 2014 through December 2014, and an annual total on the right. You can define that whichever way you want to define it for your budget managers, with as many or as few columns as you need. I've also defined what account numbers show down the left-hand side of the page here, and you set this up. Each department can have the same list of accounts, or each department can be completely different. For data input, your budget manager come in here, they can just type in balances, same as in Excel. Press enter, the formulas run for the rest of the page here. Update totals on the right, update automatically. If they wanted to budget individual on a monthly basis, they can. If they just type in a balance, it just goes in that column and the annual total column. There are shortcut options where you could have enter $100 greater than 10%. And when I press enter, every column to the right increases by 10%. There's shortcut options there for increasing or decreasing by percentages. There's also shortcut options for increasing or decreasing by dollar amounts as well. I'll just put in $500 greater than 25, and that will increase every column to the right by $25. So easy shortcut options there. There are spread methods. Well, if you type in on an annual column on the right-hand side, if I type in $12,000, press enter, it gets spread back across the individual months as a default method on an even spread. But your budget managers could spread that money differently. There's built-in spread methods for us. I'll click the icon at the top for spread methods. And Forecaster will let you take that $12,000 annual amount and spread it back to the different months based on maybe a baseline, which could be last year's actuals or last year's budget or anything else you want to set up as the baseline. You could spread it back based on the value of some other account, maybe like revenue or square footage. Or you can set up other spread method options as well. We've set up some for a 4-4-5 spread, seasonal spread, or working day spread, and you can set up as many different options as you need to for your budget managers. Forecaster will take that annual total, spread that back across the months. I'll click OK, so that updates the multi-row input screen for us. So spread methods, easy way to spread those annual amounts back to the individual months. Scroll down a little bit and look at the travel account. So the travel account for us has got a lot of money filled in across the months, but instead of just typing an annual amount to the individual months or our annual total, your budget managers, they can add line item detail to these accounts as well. And they don't have to call you to say, hey, I need to add some more rows to this input screen. They can do it themselves without calling you. So for them, and they already have, because I see there's a plus icon on the left-hand margin. So to see the line item details for this travel account, I can double-click anywhere on this row, and Forecaster opens up and shows me all of the trips that this budget manager has added for this account. So I've got a trip for Atlanta, Chicago, Vegas, Toronto, and all the individual months and the dollar amounts. So your budget managers can add whatever they need to here. If you need a new row, they'll just click the plus icon, add as many rows to this account as they need to without calling you. Add a row 10 here. They can type over that description. Everybody needs to come to Pensacola, especially in the summer months for the beach, and the dollar amounts.
Hey, Noah, we have several questions that have started coming in here, and I thought maybe
Okay.
it would be a good time to start tackling a few of those.
Okay.
Okay, so let me get through some of them at least. Let's see here. Do we have a budget by a GL account, and can you budget by job numbers instead? Or do we have to budget, excuse me, by GL, or can we budget by job numbers?
So Forecaster needs some sort of a chart of accounts here. So what we've used is we've copied the account numbers from our general ledger, and we've copied our departments from our general ledger. But you could bring in that's from anything else. So if you don't need account numbers, these could be job numbers. Very easy. Yep. It's all set up when you first set up Forecaster after the installation process. You decide what you need to track for your budget. If it's not account numbers, you can use projects or anything else.
Oh, great. And that answers another question that came in. So can Forecaster budget at a project level for Dynamics SL?
Yep, definitely.
All right, great. Can you also budget in multiple currencies in multiple databases?
So you can have rates, budget rates for different currencies set up inside Forecaster. As soon as your budget managers put in the local currencies, like on this page here, and they click Save, Forecaster saves the local amount and automatically converts it to the like US dollars or whatever else it should be converted to, and saves that number as well. So multi-currency is fine, and it happens as soon as they click Save.
And in this view, and I hope the timing is right on this question, but in this view, can you also include actual ledger?
Right, you can. So on my page here, I've got January budget through December budget. But if I had January actuals, February actuals, and March actuals, and then the rest budget, that's fine. I would just change my column definition. I'd have actuals for those months. They'd be locked, so I couldn't change them as a budget manager, and I could update the future months for the budget. So easy to have those side by side.
There's a question here. I'm going to try to paraphrase it, but can you give users previous year budgets and year to date and 2-year history comparisons with benchmarks?
You can do that in reports inside Forecaster, or you can have that here on the input screen. So I could add another column with last year's actuals and 2 years back. You can add as many columns here as you need, representing budget columns, actual columns, quarterly columns, anything you want to set up.
Okay, and let's see here. If this is an RWO, I'm not sure if that was a typo. Is RWO? I'm sorry if I'm missing something. Is that an acronym that RWO template?
I don't recognize it.
Oh, okay. Or it might have just been a typo. Can a template be copied by department, and how is it tied to departments if departments have different rows? And if they do all have different rows, do you end up with tons of formats to maintain?
So when you build these input screens for Forecaster, you have a column set that tells Forecaster what every column is going to be. Then you have a line set that tells Forecaster what every line is going to be, your list of accounts down the left-hand side. You can build that combination, and that can be used by every department when they log in here. They could all share the same one. You could set it up so that it has every account possible, and if they didn't have any actuals or budget last year, you could have those rows hidden automatically. Those are the easiest two options to set up when you start building these input screens. And the next option is if you have different departments that just have vastly different requirements, different list of accounts, different calculations. Then you can start setting up those separately for each individual department and assigning that line set to that department. So it can be as you can do one screen that everybody shares, or make each one separate. And if you have each department with different line sets, then you do have a lot of maintenance for the different list of accounts and calculations for those different departments. So just keep that in mind. More customized and more maintenance.
Okay, and a couple other, I think, fairly short questions here. Can forecaster budget by multiple dimensions in NAV?
Sure. So even though I've just got department selected here, you can have up to 10 dimensions listed inside forecaster and budget for any of those.
Okay. And can you add calculated columns, and can you add user-defined calculated columns?
User-defined calculated columns. So you can add calculation columns here as well. You can add formulas for any column. You can add formulas for any row or any cell. You said, what was that last piece?
User-defined calculated columns.
User-defined calculated columns. So when you give this to your managers, they can't really add any formulas. You've built the formulas for them. The only kind of formulas they could do is like they do equal 25 asterisk 6 or whatever. And when we press enter, that's a formula that calculates and stores the result. But they're not changing the way you set up the screen. They're not changing the column calculations. They're not changing the row calculations. So they can just do their individual ones in the cells for quick calculations.
Okay, great. And I just got confirmation from the person who asked the question that you were answering his question. So thanks.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
That's all the questions we have right now. So feel free to carry on.
All right. Thanks, Jason. So I had just talked about line item details where we added that for the travel account. I'll just double-click travel to close that back up. I wanted to mention the exclamation marks on the left-hand side. So this row here for training has a comment tied to it. Your budget managers can add comments to any of the rows here. It's just a matter of me selecting that row and clicking the icon to open up that memo for us. They can type in whatever they want to type in, and it saves it against that row for this department account. And then whatever your budget managers type in the screen and they click, as soon as they click save, it gets stored in the Forecaster database. You as an administrator can log into Forecaster, pull the same screen up and see it right away. And all the reports inside Forecaster are updated as soon as they click save. So it's a huge time-saving process and gets everybody on the same page during the budget process. In addition to the multi-row page here, you've got these other tabs at the top. I want to mention single row for us. Single row is a quick comparison of all the different accounts you've got in this list. So let's look at the freight account. It's kind of a split screen. We'll switch the column layout. I have the months going down the left-hand side of the page here, and then an annual total at the bottom. You've got a baseline column, which is what you're comparing to. Could be last year's actuals, could be last year's budget, or anything else. You've got the input column, which is going to be your new budget you're working on. You can change balances here directly, and that updates the dollar change for each month and the percent change as well. Type in new balances, those are updated. You could do those on an individual monthly basis. You can open up the annual row down here at the bottom as well and have everything changed by percentages or by dollar amounts. So easy done. It's a great way to see a quick dollar change comparison and percent change comparison against a baseline. All this money here is still against New York Manufacturing, the same department I was working with. Another tab for us is the tab for Human Resources. This is where you would have all of your existing employees. We'd import all that into Forecaster. This is still for New York Manufacturing, so these are the employees for that department I'm working with. Same budget manager handles this page, or it could be somebody else different that handles this input screen. Forecaster's Human Resource tab lets us take all of the details for all these individual employees, budget their wages, taxes, and benefits for next year. You can add new hires. If you know someone's leaving halfway through next year, you can go ahead and plan for that. You can budget for pay changes throughout the year. You can budget for bonus amounts either as a dollar amount or as a percentage of their earnings. And a great way just to control anything related to payroll. And all this calculates and stores back into the same budget that we were working on for New York manufacturing. Human Resources is an optional tab. Not everybody uses this tab when they set up Forecaster for budgeting, but the majority of my clients do set this up and go ahead and use this page for their budgets. The tab for capital lets you budget for new assets for next year. Each row here is going to be a new asset or group of assets that we're adding to the budget, still for the same department, New York manufacturing. We've already added workstations, molding machines, new truck, office renovations. We tell Forecaster what period we're going to purchase those assets or put them in service, and when to start depreciation expense, the amount per asset, and how many we plan to purchase. Forecaster books the cost to the cost account for those assets and calculates depreciation expense for them. Capital is an optional tab. You don't have to have it, but the majority of clients have been putting that in over the years. We've got the revenue tab as well. It's optional for us, but it does allow you to break down how you're calculating your revenue for the budget. Still in New York manufacturing. We've got two additional selection windows here. One is for market and one is for customers, although you can change that to represent anything else. This could be regions, this could be consultants, anything else you want this to represent for your line of business. Depending on what is selected under the second box determines how the screen looks at the bottom for us. And this is kind of a split screen for this one. The top half I am tracking number of units for each one of these, and the bottom has a section for rates, and the rates are multiplied by the number of units each month to come up with the dollar amounts for revenue and cost of goods sold. So one option there, breaking it down between rates and units. If you don't want to do rates and units for this page, you could also change that. Let me switch over to another customer or product. You can build these screens with any list of account numbers down the left-hand side, any list of calculations for this page to come up with your revenue dollars. This one is just units coming up with total sales. We've got our cost accounts, and then coming down to the revenue totals for us. All this money gets calculated and stored back in the budget as soon as we click Save. And again, it's still for the same department, New York manufacturing. Now, you may have one budget manager that does New York manufacturing's multi-row page. You may have another or a different budget manager that comes in for New York manufacturing and handles human resources. So you can set up all that inside security where they don't have to see the areas that they should not have access to. All these pages here, whatever changes you make, as soon as they click Save, that goes back in Forecaster database. It's consolidated right away, and the reports in Forecaster are ready for review. So I'm going to look at workflow next, see if Justin had any questions that came in about any of those tabs I went through.
Yeah, so we have a couple of other questions here. How do you handle depreciation for existing assets?
Right, so existing assets would not be on this capital tab. So this tab or capital would just be for new assets for the budget. Your existing assets, your fixed asset system should project depreciation expense for next year, and we just import those results. And then that's added to whatever you have for new assets here. But a very good question for the budget considerations.
All right, and one that came in a little earlier. Is there any way, or is there a concept that in which this could include a cash basis budget as to when the money will be spent for the expenses incurred, such as inventory prepaids, where monies are spent before the revenue recognition event occurs.
Sure, you can set up those. It could be calculation driven, where you can set it up and push it out to the future months, or you can set up all those rows for data input. So either way is fine.
All right, great. We have another question, but I'll maybe let you get through the next area here first.
Okay. So I want to mention workflow. So your budget managers would come into these screens, be working on their budgets. They save them, but they may not be really finished. They might want to come back again tomorrow or next week and add some more changes here. So they'd save it. It goes in Forecaster. You can see what they've done so far, but they haven't submitted it in workflow yet. But when they are really finished and they do want you to go in there and review it and approve it or reject it, they can go to workflow inside Forecaster. Everybody's budget starts off as in progress, but they'll come here, they'll change that status to submitted, and click OK and save that. So that locks that input screen from input, and it sends an email to the next person in the review process. So that next person will review the budget. They'll come back to workflow after they've reviewed it, and they'll change the status to either approved or rejected. And that sends an email either back to the first person if they reject it, or on to the next person in the review process if they approve it. And you, as a budget administrator, you could come to the same workflow area, and instead of just one department, where I've got New York Manufacturing selected here, you could pull it up for the entire organization at one time or any section of the organization. You'll have every row here listed, all the departments that you have out there budgeting. You'll see all of the status, all the statuses for each one of these, whether they are in progress, approved, rejected, completed, and you'll have date and time stamps for that status change as well. So a great way for you to come in here and see right away on one page where everybody stands with the budget process. Are they still working on it? Have they already submitted it? Has it been rejected or approved? So a great way to keep track of all that options. Jason, any questions about workflow before I switch over to reports for us?
No questions about workflow.
Okay, thanks, sir. So as your budget managers go through the budget process, they type in the balances, they save it. That goes back into Forecaster database. It's consolidated right away, so you or anybody else can pull up the reports inside Forecaster and get a picture of where everybody stands in the budget process. So if I go to this icon here for selection menu, I can scroll back and pick any of the reports that I've given access to this user. I'll just pick this budgeted income statement, click Next, and you can run it for any area in the forecast budget that you've been granted access. So I can run it for the whole company, or I can run it for one of these regions. I'll just run it for the whole company. And right away, this is consolidated. As soon as the last person clicks Save, all these numbers are updated. I've got one column for the annual budget. I've got one column where I've brought in actuals and then a dollar variance. When you build the reports inside Forecaster, you decide what every column represents. You decide what every row represents. All these reports, you can run it for any level in the company, individual departments or summaries of departments. And you can also drill down to the details just by double-clicking on any of these rows here. So I see that money is spread across different departments, customer service, manufacturing, and you can drill all the way down to the lowest level of details. Every time I double-click, Forecaster opens up a new window on top of the last one, so they're all still here, just one on top of the other. I can do window and cascade, see them all here. Easy to jump around, get that data, and really get a good picture of the data that everybody's been working on for the budget. Now, not everybody will have access to all of your departments inside the budget, so they will log in and they'll only see the ones or the departments that you have given them access to, so don't worry about them seeing someone else's budget when they should not see it. You control all that with the security set up inside Forecaster. When you're setting up the reports, you can set up as many as you need to with as many different options as you need to. Let me look at I'll pull up the consolidated income statement. I'll run that one. This one is broken up with different columns by the different regions: Eastern, Midwest, West, South, corporate, then all total corporation. So it's easy to build these reports. You just build a line set telling Forecaster what each row represents. You build a column set telling Forecaster what every column represents, and you tie those together in the report definition. Your budget managers, all they have to do is go to that selection menu. They'll see the list of reports that you have given them. They can run anything that they have access to. And again, these numbers, they're updated as soon as your budget managers click the Save button. So you don't have to wait for them to email you an Excel file and consolidate all those together. It's all done right away. I'll close out of these windows, and I want to mention allocations for us. So you might have a situation where you need to book a lump sum amount, maybe to corporate, and then have that allocated out to different departments. That's easy done inside Forecaster. All of the allocation definitions, every row here is a different allocation definition. I've got some for allocating electricity expenses, facility costs, finance, and rent. You just tell Forecaster where is that money originally booked to, and where do you want to allocate it out to. And if you're allocating out $1 million, a negative $1 million has to go to some contra account, and you can spread all that money out to the different departments based on fixed percentages or the value of some other account, like maybe revenue or square footage. So allocations are easy done. You set the definitions up, and you run them with a task, kind of like a macro that goes out, distributes all that money whenever you run that task. So allocations are easy to set up for us inside Forecaster. I want to mention budget adjustments. So let's say you've done your budget process and you're in the review process, and you say, well, what if we want to decrease these expenses by 10%? So instead of having to go back to the budget managers and get them to do that, or having to go through and do it yourself on different input screens, you can pull up the adjustment wizard. And this one window will let you pick any account or group of accounts. I think individual accounts, or I think I have some summaries at the bottom here. I have a summary for all my labor accounts. You can pick any individual department or any group of departments, or you can do it for a whole region. And then we'll tell Forecaster what periods we want to affect. So it might be that we're just changing this in the months for budget for May, June, and July, and either adjust those balances by dollar amounts or by percentages. And it's just one window. As soon as you click adjust, that updates the balances, and you have a new budget version to look at. So easy to adjust those balances, even for the whole company and all accounts at one time. This runs very quickly, and the reports are updated right away for you. And a quick look at the how you organize the workflow inside Forecaster. Under Setup and Workflow, we have Routings. Routings will have every budget or every user ID you've set up inside Forecaster. And this is how you organize who reviews whose budget. So I've got a planner, a budget planner 1. When they do their budget and submit it in Workflow, that email goes to business analyst 2. And when the business analyst 2 reviews and changes that budget or approves it, an email goes up to the next person in the review process. You'll have all your users listed in this window, and you just click and drag to organize who approves whose budgets. It's an easy setup process for the workflow. Looking back at the data input screens for Forecaster, you can set up as many of these input screens as you need to. You can have as many different versions of the budget as you need to set up. It's easy to copy one budget to another version using a wizard inside Forecaster. I just have to go pull that wizard up under Tools and Wizards. There's an option for Copy Plan Wizard, and I can copy any budget I have out here in Forecaster over to another version. You can copy the account balances, you can copy the HR detail, the capital detail, anything in that budget over to that new version, and then use that for, like, it's just a second copy of that budget. And that way you can change the new copy and not worry about changing any of the original balances. So it's easy to copy from one place to the next. As your budget managers are going through the budget process, it's easy for them to handle these input screens. They also can easily communicate with you or other people in the budget process. They can send messages inside Forecaster. They can send this page by email so that it's kind of like a snapshot of this page, send it to the next person or anybody else that's responsible for putting in these balances for this department. You can also, a lot of people like to have paper copies of what they put in for the budget. They can print that very easily from the icons at the top here. And every change that they put in the budget goes into history as well. So I can quickly see any changes made to any account in the budget process under history. And inside history, I can look up any account, and it'll show me the date and time that it's ever been changed, and it'll show me the user ID that changed it, and it'll keep track of that for any department, any account. So if someone says, I didn't change that, you can pull it up and say, well, you did. So Jason, we are coming up about 15 minutes left here.
Yeah, maybe a good time for to get to some more of these questions. A few more have built up in the queue here. So let me start with one. Are there any processes regarding distributing reports to specific people?
So when you're setting up security for Forecaster, every user ID is set up under security, and in there you control what departments they have access to. So I've got Budget Planner 1. I've only assigned that person one department. And then you also assign that person a list of reports. So those are under Build and Menus. I've got a lot here, but let's see what I have in this one. This is every row here is a report I've set up inside Forecaster, and then I can give that to as many managers as I want to give that list to. That manager can run any of these reports I give them access to, but still only just for their one department I assigned them.
All right. Does Forecaster actually write entries to Dynamics SL or GP, and if so, what would the batch status be?
So it does not. So everything that you save in Forecaster gets saved in the Forecaster database and nowhere else. So don't worry about messing up anything inside the GL databases. It's all just inside Forecaster.
Can you please review revenues and how to input them by customer?
Yep. So I've got the input screen open. I've got the tab for revenue here. You've got two additional dimensions that we can break down our revenue into. So this is, maybe you do not have a dimension inside your GL that tracks markets and customers. So I've added those here. These could be, you can change that terminology and represent anything else. Whatever market I select determines what customers I can select. You can have as many here as you need to. And when you have the input screens for revenue, you got two options. Either you build the line set and calculations that drive all these balances, and you can have as many rows here as you need to and as many calculations as you need to, or you're going to use the other method, which is units multiplied by rates. And that's the split screen, where the top half I am tracking units per month, and the bottom of the screen is tracking the rates multiplied by the units to come up with the dollar amounts. And even though this is revenue, you can use this type of layout for anything else. If you want to break down some kind of expense calculation, you can use this same page for expenses.
All right. Question, you may have answered this with the previous one, but can you upload budgets into NAV once they are approved?
So once you have the budget finished in Forecaster, you can easily export this data from here to a tab delimited text file, and then you would have to import that data into NAV. The good thing about it is that when it leaves Forecaster out of that external file, it takes with it all the dollar amounts as well as the account codes, which are the same account codes you would use in NAV, and any of the other dimension IDs that you would use in NAV. So it's one-to-one comparison. Easy to get that file out of Forecaster and then import into NAV.
All right. Can there be more than one budget administrator?
Sure, you can. You can have as many administrators inside Forecaster as you need to. And you may have a budget administrator that handles half or one company inside Forecaster and another one that handles a separate one.
Another quick one here. Does Forecaster interface with Dynamics SL 2011 SP2?
So Forecaster works with any Dynamics and any version. We really just copy the chart of accounts from the GL into Forecaster and then store money to that inside Forecaster. So any version we're fine with.
How do you break out sub accounts? Do they get rolled up to a natural GL number? I'm not sure if
yeah, if you have sub accounts, it might be that you see them right here on the multi-row. I've got a 4-digit main account, but I might have a 3-digit sub account that I could just tack on to these accounts and have them show up right away, just in the same column.
All right. Let's see here. A couple questions about Management Reporter and FRX. Can you use FRX reports that are set up in Forecaster as well as Management Reporter?
So for reporting with FRX and Management Reporter on Forecaster data, FRX does have a direct connection to the Forecaster database. So as soon as you click Save in Forecaster, you can run an FRX report and pull that same money right away. So that was a great benefit with FRX. So if you're still using FRX, that is still valid. Managed Reporter does not have a direct link to Forecaster, so you'd have to get the Forecaster balances out of Forecaster and into the GL before you could use those inside Management Reporter.
Okay, and someone was saying it seems like Forecaster works with report building blocks similar to FRX and MR. Is that accurate?
Yes, very accurate. You build a column definition telling you what every column is. You build a line set telling you what every row represents. Tie those together for the input screen or for the report. Same way FRX is built, same way Management Reporter is built.
All right. And does everyone that has access or that needs access to this process, do they have to have a full user license? Most of our employees are remote, and the person's wondering, can this all be done through a web browser?
Yes. Well, the administrators can't use the web browser to build stuff, but any budget manager can use web access, and that will be all they need for data input and reports and workflow. So they can use web browser. Check your licenses. Microsoft has been very generous with the licenses. You probably already own Forecaster, and a lot of you will have unlimited licenses. So just check your Microsoft registration keys for Forecaster and see if they're listed out there.
All right. One person wants to know, how long typically does it take to implement Forecaster, and how much IT involvement is required?
So a typical week would be a good time for a budget implementation. IT is just that, maybe not even all of Monday morning. And then after that, you start working with a budget administrator, setting up the chart of accounts and Forecaster and all the input screens and security and workflow and reports inside Forecaster. So IT is very limited. It's just that first morning. The rest of it's with the budget administrator.
Can you budget for statistical data like headcount, customer count, and other
Yep, sure can. Forecaster. You can use any kind of statistical accounts you want to inside Forecaster. If those accounts, even if they do not exist in your chart of accounts in the GL, you can make up accounts inside Forecaster to store money against or balances against. So that's fine. Square footage, rent, head count, full-time equivalents, anything else you want to track, tons, yardage.
All right, that is the end of our question queue for the moment.
Okay, let me jump over here for us. And I want to get back to that PowerPoint slide for the last page there.
Do you want to end your desktop sharing and show it in the WebEx panel?
There we go. I
Yep.
think I am back to the last page there for additional information up. So just want to make sure everybody has our website, so msxgroup.com. On there we got plenty of message boards and forums for Forecaster. We have our training classes on there, webinars, and consulting service options as well. You've got my email address, which is the best way to get in touch with me, noah.mosley@msxgroup.com. And the bottom part there, I wanted to mention that in about 2 weeks, on the 17th, we've got a whole day of free online training for Forecaster. That webpage address is msxgroup.com/FFMR2014. That's for FRX Forecaster Management Reporter. And we have a whole day for FRX on the 16th. We have a whole day for Forecaster on the 17th. And a whole day for Management Reporter on the 18th. So you're welcome to join us for that. Just go online to our website and register for those days. Let's see, what else can I tell the group here? Well, I'll see if you have any other questions. I'll be glad to jump back in the product and let Jason help us with those questions there.
Well, at the moment, we don't have any other questions. I'll just remind everyone we did record today's session. If you only got part of it or want to go back and review, obviously you'll be able to do that soon. We'll send an update when that's available. Obviously, thanks to Noah for alerting us to those excellent free resources that he's going to be putting out there with MSX Group in a couple of weeks. Really appreciate knowing about that. And I think we can start wrapping up here if we don't have any more questions. Oh, well, there's one other question here about reviewing the security setup again. Is that something you can review to some extent?
Yep, so security inside Forecaster, every user that's going to log in has got to have a valid user ID. Every user, you will give them a list of what departments they are allowed to budget for. You give them a list of what reports they can get to and what input screens they can get to. So with those pieces there, you really set up their security settings inside Forecaster. So easy to set up. It's all handled inside Forecaster. IT does have to add those users on the SQL side. So you would have to have IT involved to get them into the SQL side. That's a very small piece of it, though. And I did offer previously that if anybody wanted me to log in with them, I'll give you 20 minutes of free consulting time. I'll just email me that you want me to log in with you. We can talk about any kind of forecast or implementation that you're thinking about doing. We can talk about any forecast or implementation you've already done. So just email me. I'll sign you up for a free 20 minutes to log in and see how I can help.
All right, well, we're going to end it there. Again, Noah, thanks so much for your time today. Get some good feedback from folks on the line. We really appreciate everyone in the audience, too, for joining us today.
Thanks, Jason. It's good to be here.
All right, thanks, Noah. Thanks, everyone else, and have a great day.
You too. Thanks.